So one of the things you talk about, Simon, in the book is your customers' three brains. So because most salespeople think their customers only got one brain. So perhaps you can explain that to us.
Yeah, let me elaborate. It is just one brain. It's three areas of the brain that salespeople and business people need to be aware of. And probably if I can just use my model brain here by way of illustration. So the first part of the brain, from an evolutionary point of view, that came into being is what's called the reptilian brain, and it's named the reptilian brain because it shares the same properties as the entire brain of primitive creatures like snakes, lizards, reptiles. It's very instinctive, unconscious, selfish, survival orientated, keep me away from danger, move towards pleasure, food and reproduction of the species. Then the next part, the neo-mammalian brain, or the emotional center of the brain, where the limbic system is, where all the emotional processing, or most of the emotional processing, takes place. And the last part to evolve is the cortex, which is the more kind of rational part of the brain. Those first two parts have a huge influence, and they have greater influence over the cortex than vice versa. So we've all experienced, for example, saying or doing something that we later come to regret when we're feeling kind of emotionally aroused, angry, upset, so on and so forth. So to sell successfully, we need to be making that sort of more primitive part feel safe so that it's more receptive and comfortable, targeting the emotional content of our messages, because a lot of buying decisions have a strong emotional component. And then obviously we also do still need to be giving that sort of intellectual, more logical content to our customers as salespeople.
And then you also talk about the mirror neurons as well.
Yeah.
So how do they play a part in what you've just described?
Well, they are still, to some degree, there is still some degree of controversy about mirror neurons and, different schools of thought. But one theory is that they enable us to understand how other people are feeling. So they believe to come into effect, for example, if you're watching sport, if somebody is tackled very hard, you sort of instinctively feel the same thing. And that is believed, one theory is that those are the mirror neurons. Their purpose is to help us to understand the emotion and how people are feeling. So to some degree, our emotional state is also very important in how we come across to our customers. So if we're in a calm and confident emotional state, the customer will kind of pick that up and probably respond accordingly.
So there's reading body language and rapport and those kind of things coming from those kind of mirror neurons. Potentially
yes, and to be aware of that when a brain meets a stranger for the first time, when your customer meets you for the first time, that more primitive region is in a minor form of threat response. It's that uncomfortable feeling. So we need to get that part of the brain to kind of calm down and be comfortable. Then the brain of the customer will become more receptive to what follows.